A case full of surprises gives us yet another on what was supposed to be the first day of former Culpeper County Sheriff Scott Jenkins' first day of trial on fraud, bribery, and conspiracy charges. Remember, he's charged with accepting more than $70,000 in bribes from people who then were given auxiliary deputy badges. He's pleaded not guilty. This morning, jurors were here early, prosecutors too. Jenkins' defense team and his brother all showed up on time, but no defendant. 8:30 start time passed, 9 o'clock too, still no Scott Jenkins. Just before 10, with the jury outside the courtroom, the judge announced Jenkins was suffering from an undisclosed medical condition, but offered no details. Jurors were only told something came up that will take the judge's full attention all day. So long as the medical condition clears up, we are tentatively scheduled to be back in court early tomorrow morning. In Charlottesville, I'm Ted Oberg for the News 4 IT.
There's another hearing planned for 5 this evening.
The North Carolina Sheriff's Association is criticizing one of its own, issuing a statement condemning Mecklenburg County Sheriff Gary McFadden after recording surfaced of him using racially charged language. That recording was first uncovered in a WBTV investigation.
The association writing in a statement, the comments made on the recording are inflammatory, racially derogatory, insulting, and offensive. We believe sheriffs are and should continue to be held to the highest standards of professionalism, ethics, principles, and morals, and should serve their communities regardless of race, color, national origin, religion, or sex. Adding, racially charged comments certainly do not meet those standards. Now, their executive committee of the Sheriff's Association has voted to inquire further into the matter.
Sheriff Gary McFadden didn't comment on the allegations when we asked him to, but he did address them at a graduation ceremony today.
The reason that I cannot be racist, because I don't want anybody to go through what I go through since I was born into this world as a black man. Let me say that again. I don't want anybody to go through what I continuously go through, even to this second. Even to this second, I would never want that on anyone.
Good morning and welcome to the Bad Apple Report. It's 7:30 a.m. bright and early right here at home on the range. Thank you so much for being here today, folks. I really appreciate it. You know, we have a really big show today, so without further ado, let's just get on with it.
These are the moments two security guards detained a man they say was trespassing at a car dealership in Sacramento County.
I was about 100 feet away in a car just, watching and recording because I knew that wasn't right, what was happening.
Anna McBride witnessed it unfold after calling security.
I was instructed to make the call. I felt terrible, but I was doing as I was instructed. I could not believe how quick it escalated, because it did.
McBride works at the dealership on Fulton Avenue. She says the man had previously broken into cars on the lot.
Saturday, when we came in the morning, and he was in the car, and he had his bike hidden by a trunk base, and that's when we had called security again.
Deputies say the security guards found the man inside of the car with two women.
He got out with no problem. And then when he started to pull the cuffs out, that's when he started, oh, come on, just, I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting here. They started getting a little bit more aggressive with him, and one of the officers tripped him to the ground because he wouldn't go by himself.
In the video, you can see the man fall to the ground.
And then they both got on top of him. He wiggled around on the ground for a little bit. They said, we're going to tase you. We're going to effing tase you. And then that's when we could hear the taser initiating. He was saying, I can't breathe. He was, fighting for his life pretty much. He stopped moving after a little bit, and they started trying CPR.
The man later died at the hospital. Sacramento Protective Services is defending its two employees involved, saying in a statement to KCRA3, throughout the entire incident, SPS officers exercised extreme professionalism in the exercise of their legal authority to arrest a known subject in violation of a notice of trespass. The Sacramento County Sheriff's Office is now investigating.
We've got to see if the actions, rose to the level of some sort of criminal act, or if they were absolutely just inconsequential and, the death was a part of something else.
While deputies review evidence and wait for the autopsy results, McBride is still trying to make sense of what she witnessed.
Being security or not, it's still a human life. and it was taken behind something that didn't need to be escalated that far.
We did ask Sacramento Protective Services if the 2 security guards involved are still working, and they decided not to comment.
Get a load of this dirt ball. Goofy knucklehead. Thumb with a beard. All right. You only know what he's been charged with, right? Former Bayou La Batterie police officer arrested on ex-abuse charges. Mobile, Alabama, a former Bayou La Batterie police officer has been arrested on multiple sexual abuse charges, according to the Mobile County District Attorney's Office. 38-year-old William B.J. Squires was arrested on November 12th after the DA's office secured secret indictments from a Mobile County jury, with the warrants being executed Tuesday morning. There he is. Idiot. Grand jury indicted Squires for first-degree forceful GRAPE, second-degree GRAPE of a victim between 12 and 16 years old. Diddler, sexual abuse by force, and second-degree sexual abuse of a victim between 12 and 16 years old. And that's him. That's our daily diddler. All right, on with the show.
Nearly 135,000 Nashville residents voted to create the Community Oversight Board in 2018 in the wake of a Metro officer shooting and killing Daniel Hambrick that same year.
I lost my son father because of you! Because of you!
The officer pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter.
And not a day has gone by that I have not thought about my actions.
6 years later, this 61-page whistleblower complaint alleges that MMPD command staffers worked in secret to help pass a law gutting the ability of civilian oversight boards in Tennessee, with Chief Drake allegedly knowing about it. Nashville's now Community Review Board says it's been hamstrung since, not able to get the same police documents and body cam video to vet allegations of officer misconduct.
We witnessed one of the country's most robust forms of police oversight happening in Nashville to change before our very eyes.
That change was aided by a Nashville deputy chief and assistant chief, according to retired MMPD Internal Affairs Lieutenant Garrett Davidson. He says those higher-ups worked with legislators behind closed doors.
And that is something that I think loses the respect, the trust, and the confidence of the people they serve.
You believe they helped craft the actual language?
Yes, and it may not be necessarily everything, but key parts of it, because now they're basically able to tell the CRB to go pound sand.
Davidson says one of the command staffers was even presented an award, an engraved star in front of MMPD's entire Office of Professional Accountability.
OPA star, I think is what it said.
Metro Police reject any claims that officers were involved in crafting or lobbying for the legislation. A statement from MMPD also says the command staffer thought he got the award for his help in resolving various issues in the relationship between OPA and the COB. The whistleblower complaint sparking backlash in the community.
If it is the case that our police department conspired with our state government to undo and undermine the will of the citizens of Nashville, freedom has not been experienced.
Amen. Mayor Freddie O'Connell agreed to calls for an independent investigation, now headed by former Memphis U.S. Attorney Edward Stanton. I took a deep dive into MMPD policies. A Metro policy analyst who asked not to be named says conduct unbecoming of an officer could apply here. Another section states that officers shall not engage in any political activity when acting as an agent of the department, attired in the uniform, or displaying any insignia. And they can't use their power or authority in any manner, directly or indirectly, to aid any political party.
So whether or not the alleged actions of the officers were on or off the clock could become a factor here. And if those officers were out of uniform, the Metro policy analyst still questions if a command staffer helping craft a law could truly be separated from acting as an agent of the department.
I reached out to the Nashville Fraternal Order of Police, which declined to speculate on any policy violations since they believe the allegations are false, something many are hoping this independent investigation will shed some light on.
When there's concerns about what's being done behind closed doors, it unfortunately legitimizes a lot of the concerns that are already out there in the community about whether or not the police can be trusted to police themselves.
You know, we certify these bad apples right here on the Bad Apple Report. This one's certified. Tennessee deputy resigns after shooting, killing multiple animals, sheriff says. Okay. McNairy County, Tennessee. A Tennessee deputy resigned after shooting and killing multiple animals in McNairy County, according to McNairy County Sheriff Guy Buck. Buck said the deputy shot the animals on an abandoned lot with trailers on it on Finger Leapwood Road. The deputy resigned after shooting the animals, and Buck did not know the exact number of animals killed when contacted by Fox 13 Tuesday morning. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation stepped in to investigate the deputy's use of force against the dogs, though no charges were immediately announced, according to District Attorney General Mark Davidson. Okay, that is a dirty bad apple. We're going to find out what his name is. We're going to do a little more of a story on him later.
A mother and FBI witness shot and killed by a violent crimes task force. It happened 5 years ago in El Mirage. The ABC 15 investigators now learning more about what happened and, more importantly, what went wrong. Her family speaking exclusively to our team.
Her car was shot at, glass was everywhere.
This FBI operation was never about Melanie Devon.
Everything was ripped out of her truck. There was caution tape.
But what happened on June 19th, 2019 cost Melanie her life.
It's insane, you know, how they can shoot at somebody 22 times and call that reasonable.
Her red pickup truck riddled with bullets at US 60 in Thompson Ranch Road during an FBI undercover investigation in El Mirage. What would you want to say to the FBI and the officers who shot your mom?
Stop abusing your power.
What Melanie's daughter didn't know at the time was her mother was an FBI witness, helping law enforcement capture a wanted suspect they say she was in a short-term relationship with.
I know they know what they've done wrong.
5 years later, Adriana Navarrete is still fighting for accountability and has filed this federal lawsuit. How would you describe this case?
It's one of the most horrifying, most tragic cases I've seen in my 48 years of practicing law.
Adriana's attorney, Michael Berg, says the FBI task force should have called off its operation.
This was a plan that had gone awry. They knew that there was a problem. They decided to go in and, in my opinion, just cowboy it.
Berg says Melanie was helping the FBI capture this guy, Ernesto Izaguirre, wanted on multiple felony warrants, including aggravated assault, drugs, and stealing cars.
She was cooperating and talking to the FBI throughout this entire situation.
And for the first time, court records detail what her family says went wrong.
It was absolutely outrageous.
According to the lawsuit, the original plan was for Melanie to drive the wanted suspect to this Walmart. An FBI task force was going to arrest him in the parking lot.
We showed up at Walmart, and that's when everything started getting really weird, and, you know, Ernesto started acting really fidgety. I knew something was wrong.
Adriana got out of the truck minutes before. Also in the car, a 16-year-old girl who survived. When the original plan failed, officers tried a traffic stop nearby, surrounding Melanie's truck on all four sides. And court documents say conducted a boxing in and ramming tactic, which is known to be dangerous.
We believe that he then, while she was in the driver's seat, hit the accelerator and pushed the car in front a very tiny distance. And at that point, they opened up fire.
They were excessive about what they've done. 22 times she was shot at.
That number of gunshots, also mentioned in court records. And here's a critical piece of information. Court documents say the FBI task force knew the wanted suspect was going to turn violent and had a prior history of ramming through a roadblock.
They knew. She had been telling the FBI.
Berg points to this text message as proof. It's between the FBI task force and Melanie in the hours before the shooting. She voiced concerns about going forward with the operation. Melanie wrote, "He will take my truck and run if we're in it. I can promise that." An officer responded, "You have to drive." Melanie wrote back, "I will. He will take my truck this time. He told me if we ever get pulled over again." And what did the FBI do?
They ignored it.
The lawsuit claims the shooting was both unlawful and unjustified. It also claims no weapons were ever found in Melanie's truck. And it says Melanie Duvall was never a suspect of any crime, yet her driver's window was riddled with bullets.
I have to tell my children that they'll never have a grandma.
An innocent person who's not only not a bystander, but someone who's cooperating. This should never, ever happen again.
I'll never stop fighting for my mom. They just miss her a lot. I love her so much.
We asked the FBI for comment and for more specifics on Melanie's role in their undercover operation, but the agency declined our request. As for the investigation, the wanted suspect was arrested that night.
And according to DOC records, was released from prison last month.
In court documents, the FBI has justified the shooting by saying other officers were in danger. But the family's attorney tells us there's no evidence that's the case and are prepared to take this to trial.
Is your penis really that small? Says this elected official, allegedly, as she asked the police officer this rude question repeatedly during a DUI arrest. Whoa. All right, we're going to put you on the cover, honey. That's going to be good. An elected official in Chicago was arrested this week after she drove drunk, crashed her car, and then berated a police officer about the size of his penis, according to the law enforcement. Samantha Steele, age 45, a Democrat, was first elected to the 2nd District of Cook County Board of Review in 2022. Now, after an ill-fated Sunday drive, she faces one misdemeanor count of driving while under the influence. Aw, funny. The incident occurred somewhere around 8 p.m. November 10th on a stretch North Ashland Avenue near blah, blah, blah. There, police came across car wreck, according to a report obtained by the Chicago Sun-Times. 2 vehicles evidenced extensive damage. Okay, and Steele was found lying on the sidewalk, police allege. Whoa! The recently minted commissioner, she was minted, was allegedly forthcoming about the fender bender, telling the responding officer she crashed her Dodge Charger into a parked Subaru Forester while making a wide turn. Okay, I observed her eyes were bloodshot and glassy, one of the officers wrote in the report. I also detected a strong odor of alcohol beverage coming from her breath as she spoke. Whoa, police said there was additional evidence that led to the DUI charge, an open bottle of red wine in the passenger side floor. Sure it wasn't a box? Okay, just kidding. Steele allegedly declined to perform field sobriety tests when asked to do so, according to the police. When the police directly asked her how much she had to drink, the elected official replied, "I want my lawyer. I'm not talking to you." Ooh, she lawyered up right there. But talk she did, police say. It's going to get good, you guys. Is your penis that small? Steele allegedly asked one of the officers who handcuffed her. This question was posed repeatedly, police say. There was no indication why that body-focused question was asked of the officer. Oh, that's a funny sentence, you guys. Let's read that again. There was no indication why that body-focused question was asked the officer. Okay. Later, however, Steele allegedly did not call her defense attorney at all. Instead, she phoned a fellow elected official. After being arrested, she asked Scott Britton, a member of the Cook County Board of Commissioners, to serve as her lawyer. According to law enforcement, Britton, for his part, reportedly said she does not practice criminal law, and then referred Steele to another attorney. Steele complained of head pain during her arrest and was taken to the hospital. Oh, she's got head pain, all right. Yeah, she was probably, I'm going to leave it alone. Love it. Thanks for being here today, folks.
Chair Bill Wayburn went before commissioners to share his jail inspection report by the National Institute of Corrections, completed last May.
2.5% to 3% of
He invited the NIC, a division of the Department of Justice, after repeatedly coming under fire for the number of jail deaths since becoming sheriff in 2017. The presentation included this slide showing the cause of deaths for 58 inmates.
45 of those have been natural deaths. And you can see what they were from: cardiac, cancer, HIV, that type of thing.
But the NIC report is not enough for Elisa Simmons, the only commissioner calling for a jail investigation by the DOJ's Civil Rights Division.
He should not be emotional about a commissioner's request to have the DOJ come in to see what's right to determine what's wrong and to come up with solutions.
Among the jail deaths, ex-Marine Anthony Johnson Jr. This video shows his detainment April 21st by 2 jailers, witnessed by more than a dozen others. The medical examiner ruled his death homicide by asphyxia.
The DA's office has prosecuted 2 people related to the Johnson death. There's no criminal wrongdoing going on.
The Johnson family's civil lawsuit names the 2 jailers charged along with 8 other employees. During Tuesday's special called meeting, when commissioners voted to hire outside counsel to defend the county and 8 defendants, Simmons, the only no vote. Fighting the lawsuit could cost taxpayers big money.
We're going to spend dollars wisely, and I believe what was done today is an efficient use of taxpayer dollars.
Welcome to the Lookout Mountain Winery, perched above Nickajack Lake just outside of Chattanooga.
And where are you guys from?
Chuck Bordonia loves to say his family's DNA is in this business. He poured all the concrete. The wine comes from his grandfather's recipes. The pizza comes from his grandmother's recipes. The view comes from, well, a higher power. This is about as family a business as you get.
It is.
Which leads us to the day the Tennessee Alcohol and Beverage Commission sent in an agent and a minor on a sting operation to try to get Lookout Mountain Winery to sell alcohol to a minor.
We're about to show you exactly what happened that day. And you're wondering, well, how do you know? Well, a lot of times in a court case, you have 2 versions of a story, right? You have the ABC's version of what happened. You have the Bordonia's version of what happened. Not in this case. Both sides agreed in court that this, what you're about to see, is exactly what happened that day. So you can see and judge it for yourself.
An ABC agent walks in and asks about red wine. A teenager is standing behind her. He never speaks.
And I told her her total, how much it was, and she agreed to it. So I went over to the bookcase to grab the bottle, which is right here. That's our Italian trio. Then I walked back to the other side of the counter to grab a bag. This is where we seal our wines. I put her in the bag for her. Then I went back to my register to get her tickets. And at that moment when I turn around, she's on the phone, pretending to be talking on the phone. So I put the wine and her receipt toward her. And at that moment, I found $40 sitting on the counter. I grabbed the money, went back to my register, and grabbed a 50 cents that's supposed to be her change. I turned around. The young man overreached, so I put the 50 cents on his hand. In the meantime, the phone rang, so I turned my back to answer the phone. I didn't see them when they were leaving.
Minutes later, another ABC agent walks into Lookout Winery and hands the Bordonias a $5,000 citation for selling wine to a minor, even though the minor had no interaction with Mrs. Bordonia. Mrs. Bordonia couldn't believe it. What customer? She didn't even know what he looked like.
I can even tell you because I never looked in his face. He had the hat, he has actually glasses. And we never talked, so I didn't even have to look at him. It was a conversation between me and her.
Co-owner and husband Chuck Bordonia.
Meanwhile, no conversation. Kid never drank it. Never asked for the booze, which is what the state statute says it has to happen.
The Bordonias were so mad about the citation they told the agent, "We're taking you to court."
So then he has the sheer audacity to say they don't understand why I'm mad. Is it because I'm Italian? My grandfather was born in 1894, fought in World War I. I thought this prejudice went out way back then. I was brought up by people that you don't let anybody push you around, and you don't let an entity push you around.
The Bordonias not only took the ABC to court, they won. The judge called it a ruse, quote, designed to trick, mislead, encourage, or confuse the employee. The judge said the ABC actually violated the law with this tactic. Yet the Bordonias' big win is expensive. They spent $40,000 out of retirement accounts fighting the government and are still waiting to see if the ABC will have to pay them back.
Money, time, stress, your daily life, and you build up this business every day, hard work. And for somebody to come in and for like less than 5 minutes writing a report against you and destroying your life, that's not fair.
So what does the ABC have to say about what happened? Well, they're not defending it. ABC Communications Director Aaron Rummage wrote, quote, "This incident did not reflect our usual practices or high standards of enforcement. We remain dedicated to fair and impartial enforcement and will use this experience to provide additional training, reinforcing our commitment to upholding the highest level of professionalism in every case we handle," unquote. Not enough, says the Bordonia family. Not even close.
This is insane. These people don't need to be trained. They need fired. And they need fired all the way up to whoever makes that decision to allow this money to just keep pouring in and making sure this extortion keeps going. It's a game, and it's a bad game.
Freedom High School security officer pinched student's cheek during inappropriate conversation, police say. Okay. The SRO was on a bus in the school parking lot when he reportedly pinched the student's cheek. Are we really going to go this low, you guys? Are we going to resort to this on the Bad Apple Report? Nah. All right. That's all I got today for you guys. Thank you for being here, as always. And we'll see you again tomorrow at 7:30 a.m., bright and early, for another batch of Bad Apples. That's right. I hope you have a great day.